Hey, what is going on, you flat flaffy? Just want to give a big shout out to PTCGO Zone, and I'm going to show you guys how to use their super cool tool, PTCGO Prices, a little bit later in the video. But let's go ahead, let's take a look at the deck we're going to be playing some games with today, and it is that Rapid Strike Malamar deck. Now, I've been super hype on this deck for a little while now, and it's been in my top 10 in my power rankings over on Channel Fireball. I actually had it at number 3 this week for current post-rotation standard, or whatever you want to call it, and I actually played in a tournament recently where I went 5-1-1, and then was super tired, so I went to bed. But my tie and my loss, actually, I definitely misplayed myself into that tie and that loss. So I could have even been 7-0, who knows. But yeah, I think the deck is super strong, and I'm going to show you guys my current take on the deck. Of course, Malamar is our main attacker, that 120 HP. Rapid Strike Pokemon, Rapid Strike Tentacles for the attack. Just one Psychic Energy. We do 40 damage times the number of Rapid Strike cards we reveal from our hand, and then shuffle those cards back into our deck. So we got the 4/4 Malamar, of course. We play one Dark Inkay because of the Astral Barrage attack from Shadow Rider. So this means we can bench this Inkay plus this Inkay, and if our opponent uses Astral Barrage, they can only KO the Psychic Inkay, and this Inkay will be okay, and they'll be able to evolve this into a Malamar and attack. Now, for the draw engine in the deck, we got a 4/4 Cincino line with the Make Do to help us continuously draw as many cards as possible each turn to, get us enough Rapid Strike cards in our hands so we can take big knockouts with the Rapid Strike Tentacles. Then we have a 3/3 Artillery line in here to be able to utilize that Rapid Strike Search, which can continuously help us find a specific piece for the turn if we need a second Inkay in play, or if we need the Malamar to attack with, or we need the energy. We have 4 Spiral Energy. If we need the energy to attack with the Malamar, Spiral Energy is what we can find with the Artillery as well. And then I play one Passimian in here, and I know there's already some people typing comments or questions in the comments right now. The Passimian is in here, so if we are just short of a knockout with the Rapid Strike Tentacles, let's say we hit for 280 damage. Most of the top VMAXs right now have 320, 310, or even 330 HP. We can clean it up when they take it to the bench. If they leave it in the active, then we just KO it next turn, which is fine. But if they retreat it, which is probably what they will do, and put it on their bench, then we can clean it up later on with the Throwing Coach plus Fling to do 50 damage. So this is in here to clean up knockouts. I don't play any Gust effects. I've been trying this deck without Gust effects because I feel like they're very iffy. Boss is like hard to find, and we're really heavy on the research, so we can discard it fairly often if we only played 1 or 2 boss. Because we don't need to Gust very often, as we can one-hit KO most things we're trying to attack into. A lot of people play Pokemon catchers, but I'm not trying to flip coins if I don't have to. So I've been kind of playing no Gust effects and just have this Fling in here on the Passimian to kind of clean up knockouts on VMAX. And the rest of it's pretty straightforward as far as consistency goes. We got 4 Evolution Incense, 4 Fog Crystal, 3 Great Ball, 4 Level Ball, 2 Rod, and a Rescue Carrier to help recover our Pokemon throughout the game. The Rescue Carrier is super nice because if we're in a situation where we have multiple Rapid Strike Pokemon in our discard pile, we can recover 2 of them, put them into our hand, and then our attack can be hitting that much harder. Got a couple Scoop Up Nets to help us pivot. Also, the Scoop Up Nets are super sick to help us just get more damage on a turn. If we make do, into a Scoop Up Net, our last make do gets us a Scoop Up Net. We can Scoop Up Net our Artillery line or an Inkay or a Malamar line in play back into our hand, have that many more Rapid Strike Pokemon in our hand to make us do that much more damage with the Rapid Strike Tentacles. So super, super sick the Scoop Up Net is. And then we have 2 Tower of Waters, because the only thing in the deck with 2 retreat cost is the Artillery, which is a Rapid Strike Pokemon. So we can put this in play to be able to move it. If we have an energy on a Malamar and they were to, boss to try and stall anything else that is not the Artillery, they all have 1 retreat cost, and we can retreat it with the Psychic Energy, no problem. So yeah, we'd be able to move anything else. The only thing that couldn't move from just 1 energy attachment is the Artillery, so that's why the Tower of Water is there. It's also a Rapid Strike card, so we can always just, shuffle it back into the deck whenever we would draw into it if we're not going to put it in play to get more damage out of that Rapid Strike Tentacles. And then we got 4 Research, best draw supporter in the game, 3 Karina's Focus. I had 4 in here before, but I've been trying out 2 Bruno, trying to increase the draw supporter count because I was definitely feeling it in that tournament where I was kind of like running, just barely running or almost running out of draw supporters. And Bruno is super nice for getting high damage turns, so it shuffles our hand back into our deck, and then shuffles our hand back into our deck, and then we search, and then we get 7 cards. So we put all the Rapid Strike cards that were in our hand, go to the deck, we can draw back into them, and then after we use the Bruno, we can use our Make Do's and our Rapid Strike Search to help find more Rapid Strike cards to then take big knockouts. So really big fan of Bruno, or I've always been a big fan of Bruno in this deck. I didn't have him in here for the list that I played in the tournament, but after it, I was like, all right, let's try cutting 1 Karina's Focus and 1 Great Ball. Let's add in 2 Brunos and let's see how it feels. So I'm going to be testing that out a little bit today in the games we play. And yeah, let's go ahead and let's get into some games and get some dubs with Malamar. All right, here we go, getting into it. We do want to go first because most decks like going first as well. So we might not get a huge advantage from being able to go first every game, but our opponent's not going to be doing anything on their first turn most of the time anyway. So it sets us up best. It sets us a little bit ahead of our opponent, usually, overall. And the opening hand is pretty good. We can get the Cincino or Mincino. We have a Evolution Incense. We could either get the Artillery or a Cincino, and then we have this Bruno in the hand. So we could go Bruno first, or we could go Artillery to get Eternatus Focus. And we have some Fall Crystals as well, so we'll definitely get down at least 1 NK. We might grab 2, depending on what our opponent's playing. We're up against an Eternatus, and we got a second Evolution Incense, which is great. But I could go NK plus a Psychic Energy, and then that would set me up to be able to hard retreat the Remoraid. So I think I'm going to go for that, and then just get a Psychic Energy here. We did prize 1 Cincino, none of that. 1 Malamar. Take a quick scan through. 2 Spiral Energy. Oof. Don't like to see that. All right. Grab this Psychic Energy. Throw it here. And then pass over to my opponent, I guess. And yeah, we can go with the Artillery. Could go with the Cincino. It depends on what we top deck as well. I wouldn't hate... If I top deck like a Research, I wouldn't mind using Research, I don't think. So our Stadium, not going to be able to use that to move our Artillery next turn because our opponent is playing a pre-rotation list here. They got the Chaotic Swell. So yeah, we're not moving this Remoraid through the Stadium anymore, which is like my initial plan. I was like, if we make this an Artillery, we can find the Tower Flowing Waters, move the Artillery. Not happening. We're going to have to come up with something else. But yeah, keeping the Bruno in the hand might be nice as well, so I might just go get a Karina's Focus anyways, and just keep the Bruno in the hand to respond to my opponent knocking out my active on the next turn. I think that might be the way I want to go here. We'll see exactly what happens, but I like the idea of that. And Eternatus a little bit more HP than most VMAXs, so the Passimian play doesn't quite line up the way it would against other decks. I mean, so now we're going to need like, what is it, 8? We have to get rid of 9 Rapid Strike cards, or 8 and then clean up with Passimian on the following turn would have to be the game plan here. But that's not that big of a deal. I pretty frequently can easily get to around like 10 Rapid Strike cards for the big turns, so won't be that big of a deal to pull off a 9, 10, whatever. And if we get 8, we can use Passimian to clean it up later on. Like I mentioned, that's how we want to utilize that. So not worried about it. But yeah, we'll see what's going on here. Here comes the Power XL. I'm sure they got the Moltres in play now. Oh, they haven't played a supporter yet. Here comes Research first. Had the E-Switch, chose not to use it. I guess that makes sense. You probably want to be able to go like Eternatus VMAX, Moltres Eternatus VMAX to close out the game. One card that I think was super powerful in Malamar that is unfortunately no longer in the format is Fion. I think Fion was a super good card to have around in this deck. Like a constant push your opponent's active out of the way kind of card. And it wasn't a supporter like a boss or something to use for returning. You could always push their VMAX out of the way to force them to potentially bring up something smaller and make it a little bit easier for you to KO. So let's get the Artillery. Let's get a Cincino. We definitely want... yeah, I'm thinking about using, but I might just Bruno, but I want to save the Bruno for afterwards. So I think I am going to go with the Rapid Strike Search, grab myself the Karina's Focus, play that, draw 4, and then we'll have the Cincino to use on the other side, or a couple Cincinos. Oh no, we can't use the Cincino yet. Question is, what do I want to make do? The level ball we need to use to get another Inkay. So I think I'm going to get rid of this Artillery here because I want to keep the Cincino around to make into another Cincino. 2 level balls. That's even better because now we can go use the first one, get a Mincino, and then use the second one, and we can get a Inkay. And we will grab specifically the Dark Inkay right here because we have Fall Crystals in the deck, and Fall Crystal can't find the Dark Inkay. So we want to get this one kind of into play and out of the way as soon as possible. We got a pretty good hand for the next turn. We'll see if we can get a knockout or not. And we're going to hold the Malamar as well, because they might, if I evolve the Malamar onto this Inkay, they might boss knock it out. I mean, nothing's for sure, but no reason to kind of give it to my opponent to kind of potentially take advantage of. So we're going to go ahead and hold off on the Malamar. I'm sure they're probably pretty content with KOing my Artillery. We'll see. They might try and go around it and KO something else off the bench. But the only other good target would definitely be the Cincino. But Artillery is so good for us as well. I don't see them taking that route. They might. We'll wait and see what my opponent does. Here comes a Zigzagoon. I'm not too afraid of that unless they play Scoop Up Nets, which I highly doubt. I haven't seen Scoop Up Nets in Eternatus in a long time. I was actually testing it myself the other day in rotation. But yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Scoop Up Nets in Zigzagoon, or Scoop Up Nets with Zigzagoon in Eternatus. You know what I'm saying. It's been a while. It doesn't come up very often, and I'm going to go ahead and doubt my opponent is playing it. Here comes the Crobat. Yeah, they just need a Dark Energy, really, to be honest, and swing. And then if they get the option to attack something else, the question is, what would they attack if they want to KO something that is not Artillery? Would they actually even go for it? Comes the energy switch. Eternatus is ready to go. They don't get an energy attachment this turn, though. That could be pretty big, because that means they might not have to attack with this one, this Eternatus again next turn. So we don't even have to hit this. We would like be able to like hit it. I mean, hit it as hard as we can, but we don't have to hit it too hard, to be honest. Evolution Incense, get another Cincino. And I think I will just evolve this other Malamar down. I'm definitely gonna need it. And I'm not like too concerned with trying to get the one-hit KO here. If we get there, that is great. Love it. If we don't, not that big of a deal. Gonna recover this artillery stuff. Definitely want to get the Remoraid over the second artillery, because we need the Remoraid before we get into the artillery. Get some draw going on. Now here come the make do's. Definitely possible to get the KO here, so we're gonna play for it. We're not gonna get rid of any of the ball search cards yet. Just discard the research. And now we will make do the Great Ball. And like I said, we do need 9, if my math is correct in my head here. And then another make do of the Evolution Incense. I guess you could have 1 Incense, 1 Level Ball, and got rid of a Level Ball, to be honest, because now I actually might not hit it. I think we will still. And yeah, the numbers aren't too hard to hit. Ooh, am I going to be one short here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, that should do it. I think we got it. And I could get the other Mincino out of the deck, but I think I'll just hold that Level Ball for next turn. And then, yeah, Rapid Strike. And this is beautiful. Beautiful. Goodbye, Eternatus. Super hard hit. 360 damage on, what, turn 3? Turn 3, yeah. And because we are a 1-price deck, yeah, there's the concede for my opponent. And yeah, because we're a 1-price deck, even if we had whiffed like another turn and we had just not hit him as hard, we'd still be in a spot where we could win the game at that point. And that's the power of 1-price Pokemon, and that's the power of Rapid Strike Malamar. So PTCGO Prices is a super cool site that you guys can use to figure out the price of any card on PTCGO. So let's just say we're trying to build Shadow Rider VMAX, and we need some Shadow Rider VMAXs. We can go up here to the search bar, put in Shadow, and then there's that Shadow Rider VMAX. We can click on the card, and on the right side here, we will see a graph that breaks down the price change over about the last week and a half. And then over here on the left, just under the Shadow Rider VMAX, we will see how many people are trading for and trading the Shadow Rider VMAX with that red and green boxes right there with the selling and buying. And then just above them, we see the numbers, the bigger numbers there, the 25 and the 24, which are like the pack averages that people are trying to trade for the card or trying to get from trading the card. So there's that. And now the coolest part about this site, or my favorite part about this site, is the deck list price tool. So if we go over here to the deck list price tool, you see they have kind of a dummy deck list in here. So you can click show prices, and this will tell you how many packs total you will need to create this deck list on PTCGO. Now, some of these are zeroed out because there's not enough trades to have a solid price point for them, but you could probably trade 1 Chilling Rain pack for like 4 Comm, 4 Quick Ball or something like that. But let's say you are trying to build Shadow Rider and you have most of the staples. You could do something like this, where you just get rid of this dummy deck list and you just put in 4 Shadow Rider V, 4 Shadow Rider VMAX, show prices, and then it will just show you how much you would need, how many packs you would need to just get those 8 cards. So this can be a really cool tool, especially for newer players, to help gauge how many packs they'll need to build whatever deck they want to build. So yeah, make sure you go check them out at ptcgozone.com/PTCGO prices, and there'll be a link for that in the description below. Here we go again, going first. So yeah, we'll go first again. Why not? Take advantage of that. An okay hand, but we don't have to have a really aggressive turn 2. We just want to like, we're almost like, if we can hit them for a decent amount of damage on turn 2, that's great. If not, really doesn't matter. And we're more so looking to set up for future turns. Fall Crystal, let's get a second Inkay in play here, I guess. Take a quick scan through the whole Cincino lines here. We prize a Remoraid. Getting down Remoraid turn 1 is usually a pretty big deal, because getting out artillery as soon as possible is also can be a big difference maker. Prize a Malamar, Incense, no energy this time around, and it looks like a Bruno. Okay, so Inkay, Spiral, and gonna go ahead and pass over to my opponent. So this could be a little bit scary. One of the things in this matchup that can be really scary is that quick shooting. The quick shooting from the Inteleons. If they get a lot of them out, they do need to get a lot of them out for it to be really scary. If they don't get too many of them out, it's not that scary. But if they do get a lot of them, it can be pretty scary. It can be pretty scary pretty quickly. So then we constantly have to evolve our Inkays into Malamars, which can take away from the damage in our hand and so on. So and if they get triple of them out, if they get the triple quick shooting out, if they are playing that many, that's another thing is Ice Rider doesn't always play 3 quick shootings. How many do they play? is kind of the first question, and then how fast do they get to them as well? Because we can start drawing prize cards pretty aggressively, pretty fast, and our opponent has to come up with an answer to that. I mean, pretty fast if we're taking prize cards that fast. So, yeah, that'll definitely be a question. There's a Path to the Peak. We have the Tower of Waters. I'm kind of leaning towards wanting to try and use the Karina's Focus, not the Research. I wouldn't mind using the Research, though. So we'll see what our top deck is. If our top deck would be stuck in our hand, I think we're going to go with the Research. Could obviously throw out the Tower of Flowing Waters, Evolution Incense, the Cincino, and then Karina's Focus for 5. But the +2 cards when we're trying to set up, 3 Cincinos and the Octillery as soon as possible would be a little bit better. So might try and go for that. Opponent still hasn't attached an energy for turn yet. And also using the Research gives us a higher chance of potentially getting a knockout. I'm not really like relying on getting a knockout this turn. I don't think that's a necessity for us to get a KO this turn. If we don't get a knockout this turn, we'll be just fine. Not too worried about getting a knockout this turn. If we get it, that's great. But really not that big of a deal if we were to whiff a KO or even doing damage this turn. We don't even need to really do damage this turn. That is something we can worry about on a future turn. Yeah, not too concerned with even trying to do damage this turn. We'll see what top deck, though. There's a Spiral Energy. I'm going to go ahead and place the Evolution Incense. We're going to go ahead and grab that Cincino. The 3 Cincinos are here. But I don't want to attach this because I want to be able to retreat my Cincino, to be honest. And I think we will just go with a Research over the Karina's Focus. I just want to see more cards. We do lose 2 Rapid Strike cards, but it shouldn't really be that big of a deal. There's that Psychic Energy to be able to retreat that I was mentioning. We do need to make do something here. And I'm looking at this Passimian, I think. Yeah, I think Passimian goes here. Goodbye, Passimian. We'll recover it with the Ordinary Rod on the next turn. Throw down a Mincino attached to the active. No Remoraid. It kind of stinks, to be honest. Hate to see that. Lack of Remoraid, but can't do anything about it. So we're just gonna have to keep cruising with what we got. Recover those 2 next turn. If they take a knockout, I want to recover that as well. Evolution Instance gets another Cincino. So yeah, no Remoraid. I think is like the one card we would have loved to have here is this a Remoraid. Remoraid is super good. Because it becomes Octillery, which really helps us out in so many ways. It finds, if we need a Malamar, a Spiral Energy, like I mentioned, or even like a draw supporter for the turn. If we need a Karina's Focus, if our opponent Marnies us this turn and we draw into an Octillery but no Remoraid, we can't really just evolve it. We wouldn't have had the Remoraid in play last turn. So that can be like a huge consistency factor to help us deal with stuff like Marnie, is just being able to have the Octillery in play to constantly help us find the Karina's Focus. But once we get really set up and stuff, the Cincinos are definitely way more valuable than the Octillery. The Octillery only makes a huge difference in the early game, I feel like, and then past that, it becomes less and less relevant, especially because if our opponent's going to KO an Octillery instead of the Malamar we just attacked with on our last turn, well, then we just have an attacker set up ready to go. So as long as we have a draw supporter in hand, whether it be a Research or a Bruno or a Karina's Focus, the make-dos are going to be so much more powerful than the potential of a Rapid Strike Search. So Octillery is great to have in play, and we always want to have one in play, but if our opponent's not KOing our Malamar and KOing the Octillery instead, we're usually fine with that. So if you guys are looking for ways to combat against the Malamar deck, KOing Octillery early is great, but past that, it definitely starts to fall off. KOing Cincinos from there becomes better, but even sometimes just knocking out the Malamar and hoping your opponent whiffs, like Marnie plus KO Malamar, can be the best route to take to really get ahead in this matchup. If you're up against Malamar, if you're playing Malamar, I mean, depends on what your hand is, of course. And set up as many Cincinos as possible should be your #1 priority, alongside getting that Remoraid in play. But our opponent has the energy here. Another Evolution Incense coming down. They do not have... They did attach last turn, so they should be able to attack this turn with the VMAX if that's what they want to go with. Yeah, shouldn't be a big problem at all for them. There's the Calyrex VMAX, and I'm sure, yeah, going to evolve the active. And they'll be knocking out my Inkay, I guess. I don't think they played a supporter yet, so I guess they could go with a boss still. Yeah, they played the Research last turn. But we didn't see a boss get grabbed off of either of these Drizzile, so I don't think it's coming... I'm not too afraid of the boss. I don't think the boss is coming out this turn. The card in the hand, I'm going to go ahead and guess is a Marnie or a Research, and we'll see. There it is, the Marnie. So we're going to lose our hand here. This is why it's really good to have Octillery early, because once again, if we don't draw into a draw supporter, Octillery finds us that Karina's Focus. And currently, we don't have a draw supporter, so that's not what we want to see. The exact opposite of what we want to see. Now we could definitely get in some trouble. Here. Hopefully, it doesn't hurt us too bad, though. We'll see what our top deck is, though, and see what the make-dos give us. We do have 2 make-dos to work with before... before that's it for draw support. So let's see what the top deck is. It is a Great Ball. Which I'm thinking about make-do in the Great Ball, because it doesn't guarantee anything, and I can net this to put it down there, where it heals the damage. Yeah, let's go ahead and make do the Great Ball. 2 more. Got a new Encino. What would I even want to grab here off this level ball? Let's go ahead and play. I guess another Inkay would be. Maybe I should have made do first because of that, though. Yeah, I should have made do first because I didn't know for sure what I would want to. I mean, I could have made do into one of them, and then I don't need to make do the Evolution Incense. Yeah. All right. Not looking great. Throw down the Inkay. Throw down another Encino. Throw down the Malamar. And I think I'll hold the Scoop Up Net here to use on the next turn. Yeah, Rapid Strike Tentacles for 80. So not a ton of damage coming out of this. But doing what we can. And I mean, it makes it that much easier to KO in the next turn. So as long as we get into a Research or a Bruno or something on the next turn. This is what I was saying. This is why it's important to have that Octillery out, or just kind of at least a Remoraid. So because we have so many more outs to draw supporters then. Because then we can draw into, the Evolution Incense or an Octillery if we got that turn 1 Remoraid. So turn 1 Remoraid is also something you definitely want to prioritize pretty highly, because we got the out to the Evolution Incense, which would have become a Karina's Focus and so on there. So definitely highly prioritize getting out the Remoraid early, because Marnie is in, I mean, most decks. For most decks for sure. And that is, I mean, that's something you want to be able to play around for sure. You don't want to like just lose just because your opponent Marnies you, right? You want to have as many outs as possible to it, and the most consistent out is just having the Octillery in play, get that Karina's Focus. I know I've said it a lot already, but just so you guys know, find a Remoraid. And that's actually why most people play like a 4-3 line of Octillery, so you can have more outs to the Remoraid. I'm opting for a 4-4 Cincino line because I think getting out 3 Cincino really keeps our power up throughout the whole game. And you only really need like a 1-1 Octillery in play. But it is really important, and it is really nice to have out there. Yeah, but most people like cut back on the Cincino line a little bit, and I see most people going with something like a 4-3 Octillery, and then a little bit lighter on the Cincino line, which isn't terrible either, but I definitely prefer the heavier Cincino line. Because I feel like in the mid game and the late game, a raw draw power of the Make Do to just get 2 cards for sure kind of outweighs the Octillery towards the late game for sure. Still nice to have in play, but it falls off a little bit more towards the early game is where the Octillery is super, super important. Okay, our opponent, they got the first quick shooting online. Should be able to easily KO my Malamar. Here it comes, targeting the Cincino. We got a Scoop Up Net in hand, though. We're going to be able to reset this Cincino on the next turn. Hopefully, I mean, if I had to hope for any one card off the top, it would probably be a Research would be great, or a Bruno. Here comes the Ride of the High King. All right, can we get a knockout this turn? Can draw 6 cards from the Make Do's. We do have to discard a card every time, which of course is not something we want to do when we have such a small hand. It's an Evolution Incense, so I'm going to go ahead and make do that first, and then we can net reset this one and heal it from the damage our opponent did. Okay, so now we can go Scoop Up Net, pick up this, throw this down, involve this here, save the other net, I think for sure, and then go with Karina's Focus. We got the Malamar, got outs to Inkays. So then I'm going to go ahead and make do away an Octillery here. I want to keep the net around to do... I don't think we're going to get the KO here. I think I'm pretty much given up on getting a KO here. Would love an out to a Remoraid. Okay, that's good. Remoraid out is nice. Rescue Carrier. Going to go ahead and grab double Inkay. So it's still... I'm still feeling a little bit like it's close. It's close here. But we're definitely more so back in it this turn. This turn is feeling a lot better. Question is, how much damage do I want to do? I think I'm just going to do 40 here. Hold the guaranteed supporter, and then this will become our third Cincino. And then hopefully we'll draw back into an Octillery next turn. But yeah, 160 HP left. So next turn, a 4 rapid strike tentacles will get the knockout. We have a net to reset the quick shooting damage again. That could be a big deal. So we're gonna make sure. I want to make sure I kept this around. So I think we'll be okay here. I think we'll be okay. We just need to take a knockout this turn. It's super important we get a KO this next turn. But it is still possible our opponent outpaces us. I think, to be honest, I think it is possible our opponent still will be able to outpace us. We'll have to see. I think the big thing still might be quick shootings. Can they get a ton of quick shootings in play and pressure us out? They did discard one early, and I have no idea how many they play. So they only play 2. They only got that 1 in there. I'm not going to be as scared of it. Here is our draw. No draw supporter. We really always want to try and use the draw supporter before we make do. It's always a big deal to try and set that up, because then we're like building on the hand as opposed to drawing into cards to then play another card that, you know, it's not building on the hand. So we'd love to play research first. The first thing in our turn would be able to play a research, play a Karina's Focus, play a Bruno, and then build more on that hand. Doing it like this, but when it's this damage, it's not as big of a deal. When we're attacking something that is this damage, it's not as big of a deal, but still, that's something we always would prefer to do. We're always trying to build on the hand. That's why Oricorio GX was so good in this deck, because you would, you know, play a research and you just get 3 extra cards on top of the hand. Make do, not quite as efficient because you have to discard that 1 card to get 2 cards. All right, goodbye Malamar. And we gotta be careful not to run out of Malamars, I guess. I guess that's something that could come up as well. I'm not too worried about that. That's another thing I'm not too worried about yet. Go ahead and play this level ball, get that Inkay right now. We have this Encino in the hand. And the Fog Crystal could get us a Psychic Energy. Not as important now. So I could play this. I guess I don't want to play it just in case we go into a research. So we'll get rid of the Mincino. Don't really care about that anymore. Draw 2. There's that research. And this is when we want the research. This is perfect. Going to play this level ball, thin out this Encino. Feeling a whole lot better about our situation now. Play the Fog Crystal. Not going to grab anything. Just going to take a quick look through. Still need a little bit on this turn, though. We have 2 make do's, though, to work with. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get there. I'm going to go ahead and make do the Bruno. And I'm going to go ahead and make do the Great Ball. Just cards that are not Rapid Strike cards at this point. Our deck is so thin. Evolves to the Malamar. I'll evolve the Octillery as well. And then go ahead and use that Rapid Strike Search. Just thin a card out of the deck. We are going to need to find that Ordinary Rod pretty soon. That's going to be a pretty important one. And we just need to discard 4 here, or put 4 back. And we have 4 in hand. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, we actually have 5. But I want to hold here if I had to hold something. Probably the Energy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because the Fog Crystal can get us another Inkay. Get the Inkay back out of the deck. And we're going to get 3 cards off the prize cards here as well to work with. So we can basically draw our whole deck next turn. Yeah, we can easily draw our whole deck next turn. The thing is, we could start to run out of cards to do damage, to be honest. We've gone through a decent amount of our deck. We don't have access to both Ordinary Rods. We only have access to 1 of the Ordinary Rods. There's only 1 in the deck, so that can help us recover some more Rapid Strike Pokemon. And we have to keep the Malamars flowing as well. And actually, a play here that my opponent could make is they could KO my Malamar and my Inkay if they're able to get both Inteleons. And there is the Aqua Bullet Inteleon. If they can find another Quick Shooting Inteleon, they can go KO Malamar, KO Inkay. And, I mean, I think I would just lose. So we really need them to not have that play here. If they have that play here, I don't think there's a way for us to win. There's a Calm and a Raihan. So it's not looking good. The question is just, do they have it in the deck? If it's prized or something like that, they won't have it. There's the Energy Excels at the Inteleon. Do they have another Quick Shooting Inteleon? Do they play a third or maybe an Ordinary Rod plus the Calm would be able to search it back out? There's a Reset Stamp. Not too worried about that. We got Make Do's. We got the Octillery. So that's not a concern, really. Found the Ordinary Rod, which is huge. That's definitely a big find there. Here comes the Calm. If they got the other Quick Shooting, I think it's concede for me. But let's make sure they have it. There it is. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to recover from this then. So we're going to be taking an L here to the Ice Rider. Had a little bit of a slow start. And then, yeah, weren't really able to pull it out. Yeah, the Quick Shooting play here, super strong. And my opponent taking full advantage of the current board state. Going to be able to limit me so I can't even attack with the Malamar next turn. I guess I could have scoop up netted the Octillery and bench another Inkay. But even then, they're drawing 2 prize cards this turn. So then this week, we will be able to get their last prize card in the last turn. There's nothing I could do about that either because I can't win on my next turn anyway. So, yeah, that should do it. I don't think we're going to be able to come back in this one. Concede. And we're going to take an L here in this one. All right, here we go again. We won the coin flip, so we will be going first. I feel like I win the coin flip so often. Whenever I'm recording YouTube videos, I'm going to open the Inkay, Level Ball, and a Fog Crystal in hand, so we can get another Inkay, as well as probably a Mincino. So we have to make the decision between Mincino and Remoraid. But Mincino, I really want to lean on the Mincino a little bit harder, especially because we have a draw supporter in hand. If I didn't have a draw supporter in hand, then we definitely go the other route. But of course, if we get Marnied here, this could end up hurting quite a bit. So that's also going to be something that I have to think about. If we get Marnied here, we'd much rather have, just like that last game, we'd much rather have a Remoraid down. So maybe I should have gone with the Remoraid there, especially because I'm not that, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal that we could take a knockout this turn. And we're actually in the mirror match. All right. So us getting a knockout this turn is actually pretty important. But also our hand getting disrupted is very unlikely because... yeah, you just don't play Marnie or Stamp in in the Malamar deck, Auxiliary deck, Malamar deck. So we want to hit the Oricorio pretty hard, but we don't actually have to KO it. But they're actually sending up an Inkay, so should be a pretty easy knockout here. I'm going to go ahead and go with a Malamar. Don't want to waste the Spiral Energy. Tower of Waters, is it more likely to help my opponent or me? I still don't want anything to get stuck, and if we're going to be ahead, we want to stay ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that out and then go with that research. Hopefully find a Cincino. Found a Cincino, found plenty of other cards to work with as well. Let's go with... Could get the level ball for the Cincino. I guess I want to go with this. I actually want a level ball for a Remoraid, I think. We do need to get rid of 2 cards out of the hand. So I'm going to go ahead and make the Fog Crystal. I want to bench this Mincino. Bench this Mincino. Level ball. Out another Mincino, right? Did I do this wrong? No, Remoraid. Let's not forget the Remoraid. Get the Remoraid. Get it down. I'll even Fog Crystal for another Inkay. Yeah. Let's get that into play. And then Rapid Strike Tentacles. Gonna get rid of these 2 because we just want to have the supporter in the hand. That's the first thing we always want to do, is just like play it at the beginning of our turn. We just want to go, all right, play a draw supporter. And then from there, we want to use our Make Do's and our Rapid Strike searches and stuff to find what else we need to piece around the supporter that we played. This is not a great prize card to draw. I'm going to probably hold on to it, but which means we're going to get 1 less card off the Korean's Focus. So I would have much rather drawn into or got off my prize cards a card that I could have played this turn. So didn't get that. Not the biggest of deals. We'll definitely live, and we're up on the prize trade, which is the biggest thing here. We are ahead on the prize exchange, which is always such a big deal in one prize matchups. Just if you draw the first prize card, you are way ahead, unless there's some way for your opponent to draw multiple prize cards in a turn by either knocking out a multi-prize Pokemon or taking 2 knockouts at once, and a pass from my opponent. So this is about to get that much worse for them, and we're gonna be cruising here soon. I don't want to say it's already over, but it is looking real good for us. Make do that. Want to be able to play the Bruno next turn, I think. I think that's going to be what I'm looking at to play next turn. Go ahead, Rapid Strike Search. Just get a Rapid Strike card, and then we're going to get rid of the Karina, the Inkay, and the Octillery now. Boom, boom, boom. Take this knockout on my opponent's Malamar. I guess I could have played the Great Ball there to grab a Cincino, or I should have. I think I should have actually there. Another Great Ball to work with now. Yeah, we'll play these at the beginning of the turn, try and find Malamar, try and find Cincino, and then Bruno. Bruno's so powerful in this deck. It's so insanely powerful. Shuffling all the cards back and then drawing a fresh 7, especially when you start your turn with it. If you're not doing into it, you just play it. Full fresh 7 cards to work with, and then you kind of go from there. We'll also be able to use this Ordinary Rod to recover the Malamar line and the Psychic Energy. So that'll be really good for us as well. But yeah, now we are super far ahead. I definitely expect to get KO'd here. I don't think my opponent's going to be whiffing. Of course, I could be wrong on that, and they could whiff, but I fully expect to be KO'd here. But now that we're up another prize card, we have a turn to whiff a knockout, which is huge. Just being able to be all right, I whiffed the knockout this turn, but I'm still winning the game is... that's good. That's exactly where you want to be in pretty much any game if you possibly can. There we go. Rapid Strike Tentacles. Goodbye, Malamar. Ship this Inkay. Use some Great Balls. See what we get. And then we'll play the Bruno. So Great Ball number 1. Got that. Cincino. And then we're hoping for a Malamar or a Mincino off of this. Neither of those hit. Doesn't really matter what we grab here. We're not going to put it into play. I guess I should have... a little bit of a mistake there. Should have Ordinary Routed first, because that would have put a Malamar back in my deck. And I'm definitely going to play this before, so slight mistake there. Hopefully I correct it in the future. Shouldn't impact whether or not we get the knockout here, though. We should definitely still be able to easily get a knockout here. And yeah, you see our hand is pretty sick. Go ahead and make do research. Maybe one of the Psychic Energy will be my next make do. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and make do Psychic Energy. I'll play this level ball. We're going to get that Mincino. Evolve to Malamar. Patch Psychic here. Use Rapid Strike Search. Going to go ahead and get another Malamar. And I feel like I may as well put it in play right now, because we need so little turn to turn that I don't think this hurts me to have in play. Bench another Mincino. And then Rapid Strike Tentacles. 1, 2, 3. All back to the deck. And we have the Ordinary Rod again to immediately go ahead and recover the Malamar line and that Psychic Energy that I made do away. And if you guys are ever struggling with knowing what to make do. Usually you just want to make do things that are not rapid strike cards in your hand. Sometimes you don't want to make do the researches as aggressively, but here I'm going to make do this Mincino probably. And then Psychic Energy are always such a great thing to, if you already have your energy for turn and you're not feeling like you're going to definitely need that energy. If you have Ordinary Rods left in your deck, make doing away the Psychic Energy, you know you'll be able to recover them later with Ordinary Rods. So that's always another one you should look to make do as well, is the Psychic Energy. If you have all the Pokemon you need set up for your turn and you look at your hand, it's a bunch of Rapid Strike cards and Ball Search cards. Figure out which ones is the most useless, which one is either not guaranteed to find a Pokemon like a Great Ball, or might not draw, or has the least likely chance to find a Pokemon after you would make do. So if you only have one thing you can level ball for still, and you have a level ball and an Evolution Instance in hand, and Evolution Instance can find like 3 things. Like if there's 3 Octilleries in your deck and maybe a Malamar, and level ball could only find maybe a Remoraid, you want to make do the level ball, because if you just draw into that one Remoraid, you won't be able to use the level ball to find a Rapid Strike Pokemon that turn. But if you get rid of the Evolution Instance, even if you draw into double Octillery, there's still a Malamar and an Octillery in the deck. So if you guys are ever struggling with that, trying to figure out what to keep and what to get rid of, that's usually the way you want to look about it and think about it, is just, whatever has the least likely chance of getting a Rapid Strike card, or something like that. Okay, so we're going to go with this first, and we're going to do both. Or anything that doesn't have Rapid Strike on the card is always a good way to think about it as well. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use this first actually here, so that way I can draw an extra card off this Karina's Focus. Or to be honest, I could go with the Research. I think Research does set me up a little bit better. And if I'm losing a Rapid Strike card there, but if I use the Karina's Focus, I'm still losing a Rapid Strike card, so it doesn't really make too big of a difference. I'm going to start these make do's. Make do here again. And make do. Actually kind of like all these cards, but I think we should still make do one more time. I'll get rid of one of these Octilleries. Don't think we're going to need all of them. And then, yeah, Rapid Strike Tentacles. Just need to get rid of 3 here. So I'm going to get rid of the Stadium, the Simeon, and the Octillery. And actually, an interesting play that came up for me in the tournament the other day was with the Rescue Carrier. When you're using an Ordinary Rod, you might want to leave the 90 HP Pokemon in the discard pile, because that way you can Rescue Carrier for them, because if you Ordinary Rod them into the deck, your Rescue Carrier could be theoretically worse later on. Of course, you want to make sure you get your whatever you need for your turn, so if you want to recover the NK right then with the Ordinary Rod, go for it. But if you feel like you can wait a turn and leave around the option of the Rescue Carrier, if you know it's not prized and it's in the deck and you can probably find it on the next turn or this turn, then you can always make a play like that. Or you could look to, make do away NKs. Like you could make do away double NK, knowing you'll draw into the Rescue Carrier, or you're very likely to, and then you play the Rescue Carrier, get them back, and you didn't really go down any Rapid Strike cards during that turn. So another trick for trying to maximize Rapid Strike cards turn to turn there as well. Abuse the Rescue Carrier as well. But yeah, we're looking like we're in a ridiculously good spot here. I don't think we're losing this one. We're too far ahead in the mirror match, and neither of us are really, neither of our decks are really focused on trying to disrupt our opponent heavily. So I don't really have major comeback mechanics for either of us. Neither of our decks are built to make big comebacks when being down on prize cards, except for the prize exchange. If we KO VMAX for 3, that's better than our opponent who KO'd a 1 prizer for 1 prize. But when we're both playing 1 prize Pokemon, that can't be done, right? So we're just at a huge advantage at this point, and I don't think our opponent is going to be able to make a comeback. Get rid of the Evolution Incense. We do have a energy in the deck that we could find with the Fog Crystal. Throw that there. Just grab anything. And then 3 more back to the deck. Also, I should have put down well, I guess I didn't put down this NK because I want to do that energy. But another tip for you guys: be aggressive with putting down your Dark NK. Because you can't put it back into the deck with Rapid Strike Tentacles. So that could be a difference maker as well. We definitely want to play it, even though that is something that can come up that makes it, seem less attractive to want to play in the deck. You definitely need to play this thing to help you play around Astral Barrage. So try and get that into play more aggressively than you try and get. If you have an option, if you can pick between this NK or this NK into play, unless you're trying to put a Spiral Energy in play immediately that turn, you usually want to put the Dark NK in play. Get it in play. That way, the other NKs are in the deck, which means you can potentially do more damage with those Rapid Strike Tentacles. But yeah. 1 prize card left. Here come the Tentacles for my opponent. But you see in hand, we got the Malamar and 1, 2. We only actually have 2 Rapid Strike cards. So we need 1 more Rapid Strike card, but we have triple make do. We have the Octillery. So yeah, it's all done. My opponent actually hitting me for 320 there. Because yeah, they know it's over. And it doesn't matter how much damage they do. And there's a Rapid Strike card off the top. So 1, 2, 3. 120 for our last prize card. And that's going to do it for these games with the Rapid Strike Malamar deck. I think the deck is super strong right now. I haven't figured out the perfect list yet, but this build that I've been playing has felt pretty good. So I definitely recommend you guys try it out. If you enjoyed the video, as always, give it a like. If you're enjoying the content and you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.